y'all, it's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my April anticipated releases. Getting this up a little late, but there were so many, and I'm sure I missed some too, but there's so many. It's going to be a long video. This is why I do them monthly. First, we have a UK release, Day of the Whale by Rachel Delahaye, and this comes out April 1st. Follow the Big Blue. That was the last thing Cam's father said to him. Cam follows Big Blue. Everybody does on the island of Cypress. Their lives take place within his rules, delivered to him by enigmatic whale talker Byron Voss. Byron was once a marine scientist, but is now organizing an epic cleanup operation to revive the ocean after centuries of human greed and neglect. And yet Cam wonders if there is a more complex truth, a truth that may be connected to his father's disappearance. Cam's quest to understand Big Blue leads him to new friends and shared adventures, but the truth, when he finds it, is more dangerous than ever he could have imagined. That just sounds amazing. So excited. Beautiful cover. We have a lot on April 5th. The next few I'm not going to read synopsis for, and you'll see why. On April 5th, a US release. It's book 2. I'm very excited. I love book 1. Book 1 was Thornwood. And book 2 is The Glass Slippers by Leah, Cypress. Love a good retelling, reimagining, and I cannot wait for this one. So April 5th in the US, Trusting True North by Gina, Linko. And I read this at the end of February. I had got an advanced reader's copy from the publishers. Thank you very much. And so I've read the synopsis a few times already, and I loved it. It's a great book set during the pandemic. Also on April 5th is Witchlings in the US by Claribel, Ortega. Love Ghost Squad. I'm currently reading this. I got early copy from Scholastic. Thank you very much. So I've read this synopsis recently. So I'm very excited, and I'm loving it so far. Also on April 5th in the US. This is one that I mentioned in my March anticipated releases, but apparently the release date got pushed back to April 5th. It's the graphic novel Swan Quest for the Kingdoms by Terciero. So wanted to mention that got pushed back to April 5th. And then in the US on April 5th, second book in the 13 Witches series. I loved book 1, and this is The Sea of Always, and it's by Jodi, Lynn, Anderson. I'm so excited for this. I love the first book so much. And also a book 2 in the US on April 5th, The Tarnished Garden. Book 1, The Gilded Girl, I absolutely love. This is by Alyssa, Colman. I cannot wait. So that's the ones I wasn't going to read synopsis for. April 5th in the US, a duet for Home by Karina Glaser. It's June's first day at Huey House, and as if losing her home weren't enough, she also can't bring her cherished Viola inside. Before the accident last year, her dad saved tip money for a year to buy her Viola, and she's not about to give it up now. Terciero has been at Huey House for 3 years and gives June a glimpse at the good things about living there. Friendship, hot meals, and a classical musician next door. Can he and June work together to oppose the government, or will families be forced out of Huey House before they are ready? Just so intrigued by this one, and it just sounds like a powerful and moving story. Also on April, there's so many on April 5th. In the US, The Prisoner of Shiverstone by Linnette Moore, and it's a graphic novel. 11-year-old Helga Sharp is found unconscious in a drifting rowboat near the coast of Utli Island. Utli, as Helga finds out when she awakens in the hospital, is forbidden territory. It's a prison island to which the mainland has exiled troublesome mad scientists for generations. Helga is questioned by the island's guards, and though they're suspicious of her story, they agree to let her stay until they find her family. The truth is, it's no accident that Helga landed here. She is a keen inventor, but the mainland is suspicious of all scientists and inventors. While working on her projects in secret, Helga made radio contact with Erasmus Lope, a mad genius who everyone thought had died in a lab experiment gone spectacularly wrong. But Lope is alive, and Helga is on a mission to rescue him from the prison island. Now Helga must find a way to break Lope out right under the noses of the family of famous heroes that run Utli Island. There's only one big problem. Lope's trapped inside a giant crystal in the Mad Scientist's Museum. Sounds so good. April 5th in the US, Wild Ride by Keith Calabrese. No parents, no rules, no curfew. Things are about to get dangerous. The grown-ups are out of town, and for Charlie Decker, that means one thing: a last epic weekend with her older brother Greg before he leaves for college. Bring on the burgers, milkshakes, and movie marathons. So when Greg ditches Charlie for a date night downtown, she's kind of crushed. Worse, he gets their mom's boyfriend's super expensive, super rare Mustang towed and needs Charlie's help to get it back. What's an unsupervised 7th grader to do? Grab her best friend, sneak into the city, pull off the ultimate car heist, and then make Greg pay, of course. Only now the Mustang has a new feature in the trunk: a stowaway named Mitch who's guarding a world-changing secret, and a pair of seriously big, seriously scary dudes are after him. What follows is an all-night race around the clock as Charlie and her friends try to dodge the twin terrors, save Mitch, fix a sibling squabble, and get the Mustang home before morning. Kind of reminds me of Adventures in Babysitting, like this 80s movie that I grew up watching, and I still watch and love, but with like different parts. But it's just what it made me think of. I'm so excited. April 5th in the US, The Not So Uniform Life of Holly Mae by Christina. Holly Mae Jones couldn't be more excited about moving to Hong Kong for her mother's job. Her new school is right on the beach, and her family's apartment is beyond beautiful. Everything is going to be perfect, right? Maybe not. It feels like everywhere she turns, there are new rules to follow and expectations to meet. On top of that, the most popular girl in her grade is quickly becoming a frenemy. And without the guidance of her loving Amma, who stayed behind in Toronto, Holly Mae just can't seem to get it right. It will take all of Holly Mae's determination and sparkle, and maybe even a tiny bit of stubbornness, to get through 7th grade and turn her life in Hong Kong into the ultimate adventure. It sounds so good. April 5th in the US, The Callers by Kaya Thomas. In the world of Elepsum, the ability to call or summon objects is a coveted, crucial skill, revered among its people as both a powerful tool and an essential way to sustain life. But despite an elite family history, phenom for an older sister, a best friend who is set to join the Council of Callers, and his mother's steely insistence that he learn to call, Quinn doesn't have the gift. An embarrassment made worse by his mother when his mother gets his sister to cheat for him on his calling exam. But everything changes in a moment of frustration when Quinn, instead of summoning an object, makes something disappear. And what's more, he quickly discovers that the object callers bring into their world aren't conjured at all, but are whisked away from another world and of people who for years have had their lives slowly stolen from them. Now Quinn must team up with Allie, a girl who's determined to stop this unfair practice and decide whether he should remain loyal to his family or betray them and save the world. This sounds so amazing. So on April 5th in the US, Once Upon Another Time by James Riley. 5.5 feet might seem pretty tall for a 12-year-old, but it's not when your parents are giants. Lena has kept the fact that she has a tiny giant secret, using magic to grow when out in the giant village. But hiding who she is always felt wrong, even though she knows the other giants might not accept her. Fortunately, Lena has friends down in the cursed city who understand that looking different doesn't make her less of a giant. Someone who knows not to judge by appearance is Jen, a young genie currently serving 1,038 years of genie training that requires him to fulfill the wish of whoever holds his magical ring. In Jen's case, it's the power-hungry Golden King. At least the king only has 2 wishes left, one of which is for Jen to go to the cursed city and capture its protector, the last night, one of Lena's closest friends. What Lena and Jen don't know is how close the Golden King's plans are to coming together, between his dark magic and his horrible faceless knights. If Jen doesn't find the last knight and bring him to the Golden King, why, that could doom the entire fairy tale world. That sounds like it'll end badly, doesn't it? I have so many books by this author, and they just sound so amazing, and this one does too. I can't wait. Also on April 5th in the US, The Tiltersmith by Amy Herrick. Spring has arrived early in Brooklyn, New York. But winter refuses to let go. Sleet, snow, and even a tornado batter the city. Mr. Ross, the science teacher, believes climate change is the cause, but classmates Edward, Phoenix, Danton, and Bridget suspect older magical forces are at work. When a peculiar character calling himself Superintendent Tiltersmith appears with a keen interest in the foursome, their suspicions are confirmed, and they're swept up in a battle of wits and courage. The friends must protect a set of mysterious tools belonging to the Lady of Spring. If they can free her from her underground prison, winter will end. But if the Tiltersmith steals the tools, he will keep the lady in his power and upset the balance of nature forever. So excited. Also on April 5th in the US, I Will Protect You by Eva Moses Core with Danica Davidson. The illuminating and deeply moving true story of twin sisters who survived Nazi experimentation against all odds during the Holocaust. I remember seeing, I think, a documentary or something about, I think it was Eva, and it was just incredible. I highly recommend learning more about these twins. I can't remember the name of the doctor. It might show in here. He was crazy, and he did these, he really wanted twins, and he did all these experiments on them, and it was horrible. So this actually really did happen in the Holocaust. Eva and her identical twin sister, Miriam, had a mostly happy childhood. Theirs was the only Jewish family in their small village in the Transylvanian mountains, but they didn't think much of it until anti-Semitism reared its ugly head in their school. Then, in 1944, 10-year-old Eva and her family were deported to Auschwitz. At its gates, Eva and Miriam were separated from their parents and other siblings, selected as subjects for Dr. Mengel's infamous medical experiments. During the course of the war, Mengele would experiment on 3,000 twins. Only 160 would survive, including Eva and Miriam. Writing with her friend Danica Davidson, Eva reveals how 2 young girls were able to survive the unimaginable cruelty of the Nazi regime, while also eventually finding healing and the capacity to forgive. Spare and poignant, I Will Protect You is a vital memoir of survival, loss, and forgiveness. Also on April 5th in the US, Consider the Octopus by Nora Riley and Polizner. Jeremy J.B. Barnes is looking forward to spending the summer before 7th grade hanging on the beach. But his mother, a scientist, has called for him to join her aboard a research ship where, instead, he'll spend the summer seasick and bored as he stares out at the endless plastic microbeads and other floating debris, both visible and not, that make up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Miles and miles away, 12-year-old Sydney Miller is trying to come up with an alternate activity worthy of convincing her overprotective parents that she can skip summer camp. When Jeremy is asked to find the contact information for a list of important international scientists and invite them to attend a last-minute emergency global summit, he's excited to have a chance to actually do something that matters to the mission. How could he know that the Sydney Miller he messages is not the famous marine biologist he has been tasked with contacting, but rather a girl making podcasts from her bedroom, let alone that she would want to sneak aboard the ship? That sounds so... I can't wait for that. Finally away from April 5th. On April 7th, I'm going to read the synopsis because it's book 2. It's in the UK. Orla and the Magpie's Kiss by C.J. Haslam. I absolutely love the first book so much. It was so atmospheric, so much. I just loved it, so I cannot wait for this. 7th in the UK, The Great Fox Illusion by Justin Edwards. Magic is about dreaming what is impossible and making it possible. It's the innocent young mind in all of us that loves it. We want to be filled with wonder. We want to believe. I want the winner of this competition and the recipient of my legacy to dare to dream big. So let the Great Fox Hunt begin. 13-year-old Flick Lyons has won a place in the new television show in which young people compete to win the legacy of the Great Fox, one of the world's most famous magicians. But Flick isn't interested in uncovering the Great Fox's tired old magic tricks. She's after something much more important. The magician destroyed her family, and this is Flick's only chance to put things right. Inside the Fox's house is a secret that will change the world of magic forever, and Flick will go to any lengths to find it. I just, cannot wait. On April 7th in the UK, Wished by Lisa Evans. Ed and his sister Rue are faced with the most boring half-term holiday in history. 5 days spent in the company of their elderly neighbor, Miss Filey, and her ancient smelly cat. But when they find a box of birthday candles in a cupboard in Miss Filey's house, their world has changed completely. These are no ordinary candles. Every single one of them comes with a wish. There's only one problem. Some of those wishes actually belong to someone else. Very intrigued. Also on April 7th in the UK, Stealth, and it's spelled out, Access Denied by Jason Rohan. They're in a race to save his dad and the world. When his dad disappears, Aaron Law is amazed to discover that he was secretly working on a classified project and has been kidnapped by people intent on stealing it. Along with his geeky best friend Sam and tough-talking Donna, Aaron is plunged into a race to rescue his father and find his creation before the thieves can turn it into a destructive global weapon. Sounds like a great, exciting adventure. Very intrigued. Also on April 7th in the UK, AJ and the Mumbai Sun by Varsha Shah. Abandoned on the Mumbai railways, AJ has grown up with nothing but a burning wish to be a journalist. Finding an abandoned printing press, he and his friends, Saif, Vinod, Yasmin, and Jai, create their own newspaper, the Mumbai Sun. As they hunt down stories for their paper, the children uncover corruption, fight for justice, and battle to save their slum from bulldozers. But against some of the most powerful forces in the city, can AJ and his friends really succeed in bringing the truth to light? Not to mention win the most important cricket match ever. Sounds like an amazing adventure. I mentioned this one in the March anticipated releases. It got pushed back to April 12th though. The Healer and the Witch by Nancy Werlin. Still very excited. It's a U.S. release. Also on April 12th in the U.S., The Sisters of Luna Island by Stacey Hackney. I got an advanced reader's copy from the author. Thank you so much. I love this book so much. It's such a strong sister story, full of magic, atmospheric, so good. Highly recommend it. And so I've read the synopsis several times, so I won't read it again. Also on April 12th in the U.S., The Einsteins of Vista Point by Ben Gutterson. When Zach's younger sister dies in a tragic accident, his family moves to a small town in the northwest to try and heal from all the pain. 11-year-old Zach blames himself for his sister's death, and he struggles to find any comfort in his new surroundings. Vista Point is home to many mysterious landmarks. The Great Dome Tower casts inscrutable shadows, and what is the cryptic message in its ceiling medallion? There are several hidden watering holes and even a secret cave in the woods with messages written on its walls. Zach at first feels lost in Vista Point until he meets Anne, a girl who lives in the area and shows Zach all the special places to be discovered. But there's something that seems a bit strange about Anne, and perhaps a secret she is keeping from him. I absolutely love the Winter House series, so I cannot wait to read a new book by him. I've been so excited for him to put something else out, so I can't wait. Also on April 12th in the U.S., Drive-Thru Miracle by Dana Edwards. 11-year-old May Moore is having a horrible birthday week. Her sister Shelby had another seizure on account of her cerebral palsy. The school bully won't leave May alone. The adults in her life are having money troubles. And then there's her secret, the terrible wish May made 2 years ago that she can't seem to shake. May needs a miracle, or maybe multiple. But why would God bother to listen to her prayers, especially when it seems he hasn't listened in the past? Still, when May discovers that one of her closest friends also needs divine intervention, May just might step into that miraculous life she's been longing for after all. Very excited for this, with the faith, and just very intrigued by this one. Can't wait. Also, on April 12th in the U.S., Lifeling by Kirsty Applebaum. 12-year-old Lonnie can stop death in its tracks, but there's a price to pay for his magic. Each time he saves a life, he must sacrifice years of his own. In order to keep his power a secret, he's always stayed away from the nearby town of Farstoke, where the townsfolk might take advantage of a lifelong boy for their selfish and dangerous ends. But when Lonnie's family is left with no money, he and his brother Midge are forced to venture into Farstoke in search of work. Lonnie soon finds that the people of Farstoke aren't the frightening monsters he's been told to fear, or so they seem at first glance. As Lonnie debates revealing his secret ability to the town, he must ask himself if the people of Farstoke are really who they appear to be, and if he is willing to risk his life to save another. This just sounds incredible and unique. Cannot wait. Also on April 12th, in the US, The Mirrorwood by Deva Fagan. Appearances are always deceiving. Fable has been cursed by what the people in her village call the Blight, a twisted enchantment that leaves her without a face of her own. To stay alive, Fable has to steal the faces of others, making her an outcast that no one trusts. When the fierce Blight hunter, Vicarix, comes to kill Fable to stop her curse from spreading, Fable narrowly escapes by fleeing into the thorny woods surrounding her small village. The treacherous forest has been ruled by a demon prince for centuries, a deadly place trapped in time. Fable and her opinionated feline companion Moth is the first to dare enter in a very long time. There she encounters a tediously chatty skull, a dangerously meddlesome deities, and a beast so powerful it tears at the fabric of reality, leaving nothingness in a horrible wake. Fable would soon discover that in the Mirrorwood nothing is quite like the stories say, and the perilous realm may be the only chance she has to break her curse and find her true self. I got an advanced reader's copy from the author several months ago, so that's why I read the synopsis. I don't remember reading it on here. And I absolutely loved it. I have read several of her books now, and she's just such a great author. I love the Moth Cat and the Chatty Skull. This is just such a great read. Highly recommend it. Also on April 12th, in the US, The Last Map Maker by Christina Soontornfot. As assistant to Manghan's most celebrated mapmaker, 12-year-old Sai plays the part of a well-bred young lady with a glittering future. In reality, her father is a con man, and in a kingdom where the status of one's ancestors dictates their social position, the truth could ruin her. Sai seizes the chance to join the expedition to chart the southern seas, but she isn't the only one on board with secrets. When Sai learns that the ship might be heading for the fabled Sunderlands, a land of dragons, dangers, and riches beyond imagining, she must weigh the cost of her dreams. So intrigued by this. Cannot wait to read this. It just sounds so amazing. Okay, now on to April 14th, a UK release, Princess Olivia Investigates the Wrong Weather by Lucy Hawking. And if I'm not mistaken, this is Stephen Hawking's daughter. So very intrigued. Olivia Alice is delighted about finally living a life away from the royal palace in the mountains that used to be her home, after the kingdom of Alice decides it doesn't want a royal family anymore. Now she can finally give up boring princess lessons and learn about real things like volcanoes and the ocean and space. But Olivia is completely unprepared for the world that awaits her. Thick, dark clouds hang low over the city, and the rivers that she so longed to see are choked with rubbish. And on top of it all, the weather just feels wrong. With scorching hot sun one day and torrential rainfall the next, it seems nearly impossible for the people and animals and allies to adapt to their extreme climate. Olivia, horrified by what she sees, becomes determined to get to the bottom of Alice's dangerous weather patterns. With the help of some new friends and armed with a scientific lab coat that would make Albert Einstein jealous, Olivia sets out to solve the mystery and save Alice from climate destruction before it's too late. Mystery, detective-like kind of science, weather, Hawking's daughter maybe, writing this. Very excited. Also on April 14th, in the UK, The Sky Over Rebecca by Matthew Fox. Mysterious footprints appear in the Stockholm snow. 10-year-old Kara must discover where they've come from and who they belong to. They lead Kara to Rebecca, a 13-year-old Jewish girl, and her younger brother Samuel. Kara realizes they are refugees from another time, World War II, and are trying to find their way home. The grief and loneliness that Rebecca and Samuel have endured is something Kara can relate to, feeling like you're always on the outside looking in, and she finds herself compelled to help them. Through her eyes, we rediscover the magic that lies in the world around us, if only we have the courage to look for it. Cannot wait for this. I've been so excited for this one. So on April 14th in the UK, The Light and Everything by Katja Balin. Tom is still quiet and timid, even though his dad has been gone for nearly 2 years now. Zovia is the opposite. Inside her, there's a raging storm that makes her want to fight the whole world until she gets what she wants. And what she wants is for scaredy cat Tom to get out of her life. Tom hates loud, unpredictable Zovia just as much, but he's moving into Zofia's house because his mom and Zofia's dad are in love, and they're having a baby. Tom and Zofia both wish the stupid baby had never happened, but then Tom's mom gets ill, and it begins to look horribly like their wish might come true. Whew, that sounds like it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. Can't wait to read it and see what happens. Also on April 14th in the UK, Coming Up for Air by Lou Abercrombie. When Coco moves to the seaside town where her mom grew up, she's excited to make friends and find out more about the family her mom has kept from her. What she doesn't expect is to be met with resentment from the community. Whatever secrets her mom's hiding, they run deep. But Coco is determined, and her love of swimming and natural talent for free diving helps her start to break through the ocean-loving locals, until disaster strikes at sea. As history threatens to repeat itself, will Coco ever be able to undo the age-old rift? So intrigued by this. Also on April 14th in the UK, Hedwitch by Skye McKenna. First in a 5-book series for readers of Nevermore, The Worst Witch, and The Darkest Rising. Cassie Morgan has run away. After 7 years spent waiting for her mother to return, she flees her dreary boarding school and sets out to find her. But the world outside her school is full of hidden magic, and children have been going missing. With the help of a talking cat and a flying broom, Cassie escapes to the enchanted village of Hedgeley. There she will begin her training in the practical skills of witchcraft with the Hedge Witch, who watches over the hedge, the vast forest that marks the border between England and Fairy. There are only 2 sorts of fantasy story, the ones that feel fake and the ones that feel real. I've been so excited for this for so long, I cannot wait for it to finally be in my hands. Then on April 19th in the US, Coming of Age, 13 Bar Mitzvah stories by 13 various authors and a poem by Jane Yolen. I'm not reading the synopsis because it's short stories. I received the art from the publisher and I loved it, and I read it recently. Very important. You don't have to be Jewish to read it. Everybody can take something away from it, and I highly recommend it. On April 19th in the US, Mamo by Saz Millage. This is a graphic novel. Orla O'Reilly, the youngest in a long line of hedge witches, is compelled to return home after the death of her grandmother, Mamo. In the wake of her Mamo's passing, seas are impossible to fish, crops have soured, even Joe Manalo's attic is taken over by a poltergeist. And to make matters worse, it appears that the cause is Mamo, or her mislaid bones, that is. Can Orla shoulder the responsibility of quieting her Mamo's spirit, saving her hometown, and will she have to step up as a new witch of Harrisden like Mamo always wanted? Can't wait for this. Also on April 19th in the US, The Edge of In-Between by Lorelei Savran. Lottie lives in Vivelle, the heart of a vibrant city where life exists in brilliant technicolor and nearly everyone has magic. And Lottie is no exception. She can paint pictures to life, every shade and hue imaginable. But at the sudden loss of her parents, all the color is stripped from Lottie's heart and the world around her. Taken in by her reclusive, eccentric uncle, Lottie moves into Forsaken, his vast manor located in the gray wasteland between the land of the living and ever after the land of the dead. The discovery of a locked-up garden, a wise cardinal, and a hidden boy, and a family whose world is full of color despite the bleakness around them, begins to pull at the threads of what it means to live in such a near-dead place, slowly returning some of the color to Lottie's private world and giving her hope that life is worth experiencing fully, even while one carries sorrow. But as time runs out, Lottie must find a way to thaw both the world and the hearts of her uncle, cousin, and those she has come to know and love in her new home. Or all of Forsaken, including Lottie herself, will be absorbed by Ever After long before their time. I'm so excited for this. I loved The Circus of Stolen Dreams by this author. And this is the Secret Garden retelling, which I love the Secret Garden. I love a retelling, so cannot wait. Also on April 19th in the US, A Dragon Used to Live Here by Annette LeBlanc Kate. Noble children Thomas and Emily have always known their mother to be sensible, the lady of the castle, if anything a bit boring. But then they discover Meg, a cranky scribe who lives in the castle basement, leading a quirky group of artists and producing party invitations and other misses for the nobles above. Meg claims that she was a friend of their mother's back when the two were kids, even before the dragon lived in the castle. Wait, a dragon? Not sure they can believe Meg's tales. The kids return again and again to hear the evolving, fantastical story of their mother's escapades, while putting their fussiest penmanship to work. They get caught up in a quest to reunite the one-time friends. This just sounds so good. I'm so excited and intrigued by this. Also on April 19th in the US, Grow Up, Talia Wilkins by Karina Evans. 3-year-old Talia Wilkins is ready to kick off a perfect summer at the popular kids' pool party. But when the Red Goddess of Panties, aka her first period, arrives 24 hours before the pool party, it messes up all her plans. To make matters worse, her mom is out of town and there's no way she's going to ask her dad for help. Talia always feared that growing up would be tough, but this is just not fair. In order to save herself from total embarrassment, it will take all of Talia and her best friend Lily's scheming to keep her reputation and her favorite jeans from being ruined. Sneak off to the grocery store only to have the clerk price check your goods over the loudspeaker? Check. Trick your mature teenage neighbor into letting you use her bathroom to rehome some tampons? Check. Take a dip in a fountain to borrow some quarters for a bathroom period product dispenser? Check, check, check. This sounds so good, and this will be the first one I think I've read that's touched on this subject, so very interested to see how it plays out. And on to April 22nd in the US, The Free Thinker's Daughter by Jeannie O'Neill. Lexington, Kentucky, 1833. Calendula, Cal, farmer, a 13-year-old white girl, has been raised by her abolitionist, free-thinking mother to think for herself, consult her inner wisdom, and come to her own conclusions. But when a flash flood devastates her family's home, Cal is unexpectedly thrust into domestic service in a wealthy family's mansion. There she encounters firsthand the physical, intellectual, and emotional brutalities of slavery. Later, a cholera outbreak kills a quarter of the population, including Cal's mother, and Cal enters an orphanage where she bravely begins another chapter in her young life. It just sounds so powerful and important, and I'm very excited. Then on April 24th in the U.S., Blessing Speed by Debbie Dahl Edwardson. Nutak and her older sister, Alok, are on a great journey, sailing from their Inupiaq village in Alaska to the annual trade fair further north. There, handsome young Siberian Inuit, wearing a string of cobalt blue beads, watches Alok the way a wolf watches a caribou. Soon his actions and other events, more horrible than Nutak could ever imagine, threaten to shatter her world. 70 years later, Nutak's great-granddaughter, Blessing, is on her own journey, running from the wreckage of her life in Anchorage to live in a remote Arctic village with a grandmother she barely remembers. In her new home, unfriendly girls whisper in a language she can't understand, and Blessing feels like an outsider among her own people. Until she finds a cobalt blue bead, Nutak's bead, in her grandmother's sewing tin. The events this discovery triggers reveals power of family and heritage to heal despite seemingly insurmountable odds. That's so important and such a great read. And on April 25th in the U.S., The Penny Moors and the Curse of the Invisible Quill by Eric Koester. The Plums, a secret writing society created by Parker Pennymoor, vows to teach her classmates the power of writing, and along the way uncovers a world of magic written hidden before their eyes. It's an adventure story, a story of family, and a fantastical journey of whimsy, imagination, and creativity that happens all with a magical stroke of a quill. A girl whose beliefs about magic are shattered when her brother vanishes in the middle of the night. It's perfect for fans of Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, Narnia, and the School of Good and Evil, which my favorite series, so I cannot wait. And then on April 26th in the U.S., Hunters of the Lost City by Callie Wallace, and I have an early copy of this from the publisher, so thank you very much, and I've mentioned this a few times, so I'm not going to read the synopsis, cannot wait for it. And then in the U.S., book 2, it's a graphic novel, Light Fell, Shadow of the Bird by Tim Probert. I love the first book. I don't remember if I just said, but it's a graphic novel. Cannot wait for the sequel. And then in the U.S., book 2 of Atlantis, Gregory Mon, and I got an advanced reader's copy from the author, thank you so much, or a finished copy from the author. All right, and this is The Brink of War. I absolutely love the first book so much. I love Atlantis books, I've figured out, and I cannot wait to read this soon. And then also in the U.S., the first 2 books in the Jessie Files series by Stacia Deutsch. First book, The Friendship Files, and the second book, Talk of the Town. And I got an advanced reader's copy of the first book from the publishers. Thank you very much, and I absolutely loved it. And I cannot wait for them to come out and read the second book too. And also on April 26th in the U.S., Jennifer Chan is Not Alone by Ja Keller. Thanks to her best friend Reagan, Mallory Moss knows the rules of middle school. The most important one, you have to fit in to survive. But then Jennifer Chan moves in across the street, and that rule doesn't seem to apply. Jennifer doesn't care about the laws of middle school or the laws of the universe. She believes in aliens, and she thinks she can find them. Then Jennifer goes missing. Using clues from Jennifer's journals, Mallory goes searching. But the closer she gets, the more Mallory has to confront why Jennifer might have run and face the truth within herself. Very excited about this. I'm very intrigued, so can't wait to read. Also on April 26th in the U.S., Shinji Takashi and the Mark of the Koto? The Society of Explorers and Adventurers by Julie Kagawa. Shinji Takashi is just an ordinary kid, an ordinary homeschooled smart alecky kid being raised by his globe-trotting aunt Yoi. But when a magical guardian decides to use him as a conduit to awaken its power, Shinji's life takes a turn for anything but ordinary. Captured by the menacing Hightower Corporation, which is bent on using the Guardian's magic for its own nefarious purposes, Shinji must team up with the brilliant young tech whiz named Lucy and her robot mouse Tinker in order to escape. Together, the two turn to the vulnerable Society of Explorers and Adventurers and its ragtag cast of spelunkers, hackers, mapmakers, pilots, and mythology experts, among other things, to return the Guardian to its rightful home and release Shinji from its magic, which seems to be draining his life force. Time is ticking, the Hightower Corporation is on hot pursuit, and success or failure might depend on one small thing, Shinji finally coming around to the belief that it is anything but ordinary. So excited. Really looking forward to this one. Also on April 26th in the U.S., Cloud Town is a graphic novel by Daniel McCloskey. When Penn is brash and brave, Olive is quiet, kind, and also fearful of bullies at school. That is, at least until the day they are nearly squashed by a Caracorp storm catcher, a giant android built to protect Cloud Town and the rest of Floating Island from hurricanes, monsters that travel across the rip. It isn't the event itself that changes the girls' relationship. It isn't the fear of death that drives them apart, or the questionable decision-making that leads Penn to drag Olive into the cab of the crashed robot. It's the fact that Olive can move the 90-foot-tall machine and Penn can't. Caracorp requires Olive to train as a pilot so that she can protect Floating Island when the next attack comes. It's a role reversal for which neither of the girls are prepared. Very intrigued by this, and the art looks beautiful. Very excited. Also on April 26th in the US, Zia Erases the World by Bree Barton. Zia remembers the exact night the Shadoom arrived. One moment she was laughing with her best friends, and the next dark room of shadows had crept into her chest. Zia has always loved words, but she can't find a real one for the fear growing inside her. How can you defeat something if you don't know its name? After Zia's mom announces that her grouchy Greek Yaya is moving into their tiny apartment, the Shadoom seems here to stay, until Zia discovers an old family heirloom. The Sea Skuro Dictionary, 13th edition. This is no ordinary dictionary. Hidden within its magical pages is a mysterious blue eraser shaped like an evil eye. When Zia starts to erase words that remind her of the Shadoom, they disappear one by one from the world around her. She finally has the confidence to befriend Alice, the new girl in 6th grade, and to perform at the story jamboree. But things quickly dissolve into chaos as the world she erases turn out to be more vital than Zia knew. Very intrigued by that synopsis. Also on April 26th in the US, Winnie Zing Unleashes a Legend by Katie Zhao. Love the Dragon Warrior books that are out by her, currently the 2. So very excited about this. Winnie Zing has 2 goals: survive her first year of middle school and outdo her stuck-up arch-nemesis, David Zuo. It won't be easy since, according to her older sister, middle school is the pits. Luckily, Winnie studied middle school survival tactics in comic books and anime, and nothing will stop her from being the very best student. But none of Winnie's research has prepared her to face the mother of all hurdles, evil spirits. When she makes mooncakes for a class bake sale, she awakens the stuff of legends from her grandmother's old cookbook, spilling otherworldly chaos in her sleepy town. Suddenly, Winnie finds herself in a race against time, vanquishing demons instead of group projects. Armed with a magic cookbook and a talking white rabbit, she must embrace her new powers and legacy of her ancestors, because if she doesn't, her town and rest of the world may fall into chaos forever. Magic cookbook, talking rabbit, so here for it. And then also on April 26th in the US, Osmo Unknown and the 8 Penny Woods by Catherine M. Valente. I think I have the Fairyland series by her, so I have several books by her and I can't wait to read something. Osmo Unknown hungers for the world beyond his small town. With the life that Little Bridge Society has planned for him, the only taste Osmo will ever get are his visits to the edge of the 4 Penny Woods where his mother hunts. Until the unthinkable happens. His mother accidentally kills a Quidunk, a fearsome and intelligent creature that lives deep in the forest. None of this should have anything to do with poor Osmo, except that a strange treaty was once formed between the Quidunks and the people of Little Bridge to ensure that neither group would harm the other. Now that a Quidunk is dead, as the first one tried of the hunter who killed her, Osmo must embark on a quest to find the 8 Penny Woods, the mysterious kingdom where all wild forest creatures go when they die, and make amends. Accompanied by a very rude half-badger, half-wombat named Bonk, and an antisocial pangolin girl called Never, it will take all of Osmo's bravery and cleverness to survive the magic of the 8 Penny Woods to save his town and make it out alive. That sounds so good. Also on April 26th in the US, Map Makers and the Lost Magic by Cameron Chatak. For centuries, the Mapmakers kept peace in the valley, but they have long since disappeared. Now the Nightcoats hold power with an iron grip. There are only rules, punishments, and consequences. Until one night, on the run from the Nightcoats, again, after breaking another rule, again, Alidade stumbles upon a secret door leading to a magical hideaway that belongs to the Mapmakers. There she finds a map of her home and accidentally brings to life Blue, a magical creature called a Memory, who is meant to protect the valley. Blue needs Alidade's help to find the Mapmakers and save the valley from the Nightcoats, but the Mapmakers are long gone. Alidade has a choice: leave the valley like she always wanted, or become a mapmaker and save the only home she's ever known. So excited for this. Also on April 26th, in the US, Shabbat Sabotage by Carlson Burnett. Welcome to Camp Shalom, a Jewish sleepaway camp that offers adventure and friendship. But when mysterious events start occurring, the campers will need to use their brains and work together with some occasional sneaking around to figure out what's really going on. Maya can't deny that she's nervous on the first day at Camp Shalom. She's never been to a sleepaway camp before. She doesn't like insects and heat, and worst of all, she's afraid of swimming after her upsetting experience back at home. Maya feels a lot better about Camp Shalom after meeting friendly Danny, but she's not so sure about Bossy Yao. When someone steals the silver Kiddush cup and 2 candlesticks that their cabin needs to lead Shabbat, Maya and Danny do some sleuthing. They're no closer to catching the thief when Danny discovers that she is being accused. Now Maya really has to find out who sabotaged Shabbat, or her best friend will be sent home from camp. Meanwhile, she still has to pass the camp swimming test, or she won't be able to go on the sleepover to Snake Island. Maya has a busy summer ahead, but with Danny's help and maybe even Rial, she'll find out that honesty and the support of her friends can solve any problem. Sounds like a great summer read. Love a good camp, a Jewish sleepaway camp. I love that. Adventure, mystery, some sleuthing. Love it. Also on April 26th in the US, The Final Cut by Dennis Markell. Alex Davis is convinced that 7th grade is going to be his year. After spending all summer at skate camp, he knows he'll finally be seen as one of the cool kids. until he's mistakenly put in the wrong elective. Now, instead of taking a popular video games class with his friends, he's stuck in filmmaking with hipster teacher Pablo and a group of eccentric classmates. But when it's announced that their films will be entered in the school's annual Golden Reel competition, Alex becomes determined to claim his first prize and salvage his 7th grade year. With the help of his longtime crush, his best friend, and a peculiar new student, Alex sets off to make a masterpiece. Soon he discovers that someone is trying to sabotage his film and finds himself embroiled in a mystery, one that leads him and his crew to conniving classmates, traitors, teachers, and even corrupt city politicians. Oh, so good. Then on April 28th in the UK, The Offline Diaries by Yomi Adeki. Ade is about to start a new school. She is not happy with her stepdad for making the move here. Shanice has been at the school for a year already. Since her mom died, she's been living with her dad and an annoying older brother, spending most of her time outside school in her dad's hair salon. When Ad and Shanice meet in the salon and spot each other's diaries, an instant friendship is formed, and they start to chat online. But offline is a whole other story. Doesn't say much, but very intrigued. Also on April 28th in the UK, Wilder Than Midnight by Sari Burnell. Silverthorn is a place of secrets, a forest of twisting paths and tangled thorns, a castle with locked towers and whispers of tragedy, a village trapped between terrors known and unknown, but something is stirring in the leaves. Sappy is a good girl, tired of being told to stick to the forest path and always follow the rules. Aurelia is a hidden girl locked in a castle tower, dreaming of escaping the fate she's told awaits her. Wild Rose is a fierce girl raised by wolves, full of spells and fearlessness and cunning. Together they would change life in Silverthorn forever. So excited for this one. Also on April 20th in the UK, The Riddle of the Sea by Joan Kramer. When Ravion's father doesn't return home from sea for his son's birthday, Ravion is certain he must be in danger. Hearing tales of a cursed ship that captures fishermen, Ravion goes in search of his father, accompanied by his only friend Marvin, the seagull. Before long, the pair find themselves trapped on the ship with a kindly boy and a bad-tempered pirate for company. The ensuing voyage is beset with battles with giant squid and fierce storms, and Ravion despairs of ever finding his father. And it's got featuring stunning illustrations by acclaimed illustrator James Mountford. So, amazing illustrator. This sounds like a great sea adventure. Very excited. I'm already having to come back and edit in this one because I forgot a very important one. Skandar and the Unicorn Thief by A.F. Stedman. And it comes, and this is UK, and it does come out in the US in May, though. 13-year-old Skandar Smith has only ever wanted to be a unicorn rider, to be one of the lucky few selected to hatch a unicorn, to bond with it for life, to train together and race for glory, to be a hero. But just as Skandar's dream is about to come true, things start to take a more dangerous turn than he could ever have imagined. A dark and twisted enemy has stolen the island's most powerful unicorn, and as the threat grows even closer, Skandar discovers a secret that could blow apart his world forever. So, very excited. I'm looking forward to this book for so long, so I'm so excited it's about to finally be here. This is an Australian release on April 29th. Booktopia says April 29th by Brett Perkins, who is a friend on my Bookstagram. I'm so excited for him. It's The Prison for the Magically Cursed. Stay hidden or be hunted. Possessing a magical curse is a criminal offense, making every day a challenge for 13-year-old Mason Davis. Blowing up the Christmas tree, tearing off the car door, giving the neighbor's dog 3 heads, his unpredictable power changes every 12 hours, and he has no idea what can conjure next. Mason yearns for a normal life, but when the authorities pay the Davis family an unexpected visit, he is exposed and hauled away to a prison for the magically cursed. As he plans his escape from the gloomy corridors, Mason comes face to face with a terrifying truth. Someone dangerous knows his secret all along. With help from a shape-shifting boy and a girl with secrets tattooed on her skin, Mason uncovers an ominous prophecy that is either the key to their freedom or the end of Mason and the Cursed forever. It sounds so amazing. I'm so excited for him and happy for him and proud of him. Alright, that's finally it. I know I missed some, but this was already so long, so. Are you excited for any of these? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you would like to subscribe, I would love that if you would like to. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.